Well, good morning. We're getting ready for another wet, chilly run today. Going for 5 miles. Talk to y'all soon. So, got 5 miles in. The cold and rainy sucked today. Yeah. So, I'm going to go inside and warm up and then do the reading video. So, condense the pain. Good morning, accountability crew. Welcome back to the Accountability Project, where we condense the pain of personal growth. So, this morning on my run, I was thinking about just the condense the pain mindset. Now, I don't know if I've explained this necessarily on the channel, so I wanted to take a minute to do this. And that is that life is pain, okay? That's how you know you're alive, is that there is struggle, right? And the amount of struggle you're going to go through is going to be different for every person. Everyone's life is going to have different struggles. And some of those struggles overlap. Some of those struggles, you don't necessarily have to go through the pain the way that we go through. And the way I think about this is that if you develop personally, that allows you to reduce the amount of pain associated with living, right? So if you can improve yourself and improve those around you, then maybe things that would be painful are no longer painful. Or maybe you're able to eliminate things that would be causing pain. But regardless, there's going to be pain in life. And the thought is, instead of stretching out the pain and being in pain for a longer period of time, why don't we condense the time frame that we're in pain? But that means we're going to amplify the intensity of that pain. So, for instance, if your life had a pain factor of 5 every year for 20 years, that's fairly manageable. Most people can sustain a pain level of 5 for 20 years annually. But if we could find a way to condense that pain from 20 years to 10 years, what happens is now each year you're going through a 10 pain level. If we were to condense that even further to 5, now you've got a pain level of 20. But if you can condense it to 5, that pain level of 20 allows you to spend those 15 years at a much lower pain threshold, because you've condensed the pain of whatever the situation is. So the easiest way to talk about this is in the monetary sense, right? So if you can condense the pain of 20 years of employment to a 5-year time period, you're going to take all the pain that would have come over those 20 years and condense it into a 5-year time period. And that's what most business owners and entrepreneurs do, is they take the pain of 20 years of employment and condense it into the pain of 5 years of entrepreneurship, which then affords them the 15 years on the back end of living life in a way that all the employees are kind of pissed off about. And then we start to pass regulations and start talking about how evil the entrepreneur is, and try to pass laws that take money away from the entrepreneur, even though they have the same amount of pain in their life. They just condense that pain to a shorter period of time so that they could have the benefits in life that other people couldn't have. So I just wanted to share that, because that's kind of where the philosophies and the programs behind what I'm doing came from. So science of success. Today's topic I'm actually not doing too well with. So it is about grooming and personal appearance for the sake of the first impression, because we know that the first impression is very, very important. Taking the time to create a great first impression should be something that we consider. And this is something that I've even taught on and shared with people, is you're going to be responded to based on how you present yourself to the world. So, for instance, when I was younger, I dressed a certain way and I was responded to negatively. If I know that dressing a certain way is going to cause a certain reaction, then it's on me to change how I'm dressing so that I don't get that reaction, unless I want that reaction. But if I know that statistically speaking, if I wear baggy pants, because I used to wear the pipe leg jeans with 64-inch bottoms, a black trench coat, and a torn black t-shirt, and a hoodie, chances are people are going to think some things. People are going to worry. People are going to think that I might be mentally unstable. And they might be correct. But I'm going to be responded to negatively. People aren't going, that doesn't speak being open, especially if you add a chain wallet and spiked bracelets and black fingernail painting. I was a messed up teen, man. But I presented myself to the world in a way that they responded accordingly. And one of the things that I've encouraged people to do is instead of taking the mindset of they should accept me how I am, even though that's true, you don't have the ability to control what they accept. So if you want to be accepted in a certain fashion, then you need to change certain things. I tell people, don't reinforce a stereotype that you want to break. Meaning, if you live in a trailer park, don't dress the part, because you don't want you don't want to reinforce the stereotype. If you live in a trailer park, don't cook meth, because that's a stereotype. And right, wrong, or indifferent, all I'm saying is if you don't want to be viewed a certain way, then don't dress or present yourself in the way that those things tend to, statistically speaking, or categorically, subconsciously, people associate with. So I like to dress in a way that is a little bit more professional than maybe the folks that I grew up around. But at the same time, I like to do it in a somewhat casual fashion. And now I need you to hear my heart on this. I want to be the guy that looks like $1 million in sweats and a white t-shirt. Because you know the guy, because the clothing he wears, even if it's not a suit, it's kept well, it's clean, it fits correctly, and they're carrying themselves in such a way that you know that they're somebody. Their self-image is high because it doesn't matter what they're wearing, but because they wear clothes that fit properly, because they're presenting themselves in the world in a certain way, it's easy to receive that person in the way they want to be received. And so they talk a bit about, maybe if you need to, get one nice tailored outfit, so that when you are going somewhere where you know you're going to be making some first impressions, you can make a quality first impression, because that oftentimes is what is stuck for the rest of your interaction with someone. Next up, how to have confidence and power in dealing with people. This one is kind of a touchy subject for a lot of people. It's how to criticize without offending them. Reading this chapter reminded me a lot of the leadership that I had while I was in the Marine Corps. Not all leadership in the Marine Corps was like this, but the particular folks that I had leading me were like this. They had a saying was that you praise in public and you punish in private, meaning that if someone does something wrong, you don't criticize them openly for everyone to hear. Because if they're doing something wrong and you need to correct it, you pull them aside and do it privately, so that we're not damaging their ego, and that way they can learn from it. Now that most people have a series of escalations, right? So like the first time you correct someone on something, you do it in private. The second time you do it in private. The third time you may bring it up softly in public. The fourth time, then you start to get a little aggressive. And then the fifth time you do paperwork, right? Everyone has their own level or format for how they raise the level of engagement in a criticism or corrective action. But the key here is start criticism in private. The second thing is also to make sure that if you're going to criticize, that you're doing it for the right reason. make sure that it's so that you both have a positive outcome. If it's just to boost your own ego because you're able to correct somebody, or boost your how you're seen by someone else, meaning like you're correcting someone in public so that like that guy sees you correcting someone, and maybe that gives you a feeling of importance, just don't do it. Don't do it. It's the wrong reason. It will not be received. Egos and relationships will be damaged because of it, and it honestly shows how poor your leadership is when you do stuff like that. So there's a few other steps they talk about. I'm gonna just read these real quick. Criticism must be made in absolute privacy. Preface criticism with a kind word or compliment. Make the criticism personal. Criticize an action, not the person. Supply the answer. So if you're saying, hey, this is something you're doing wrong, give them a way to do it correctly. Ask for cooperation, don't demand it. One criticism to an offense, meaning just criticize once and then drop it. Don't bring it up. Don't talk about the same event 3-4 times. And then finish in a friendly fashion. Make sure that the relationship is still intact and that egos are not affected before moving on, because if you did overstep your bounds and affect an ego, you want to take the time to correct and mend that relationship so that you can have future prosperity together in your relationship, in your business dealings, in your employment situation with them. Handling things like criticism properly can save companies thousands, if not millions of dollars in turnover of employees. There are a ton, and I know of a ton of people who have quit their jobs or left companies because of a misunderstanding, and their feelings were hurt and their ego was hurt. And instead of taking time to mend that relationship, it severed all future ties. And typically it was over simply a miscommunication. Maybe someone was a little bit more emotional in a situation because of other things that were going on that had nothing to do with the situation, but somehow it got carried into that situation. So with that, I want to thank you all. I want to share with you how amazing it has been so far. This accountability project has helped me immensely in absorbing the materials that I'm reading and applying them and sharing them. And I did want to give an update that my wife, amazing as she is, she hooked us up with a logo. So she's way better at stuff like that than I am. So she took care of us. She took care of us. Let's just say that. And then at the end of the month, we actually got a surprise video that hopefully you will all enjoy. So with that, condense the pain of personal growth and stay accountable.